Alright guys, these next four examples we're going to work on simplifying exponents when we have division in our problems. As the notes at the top of the handout tells us, we're going to divide the coefficients, the numbers in front. 16 divided by 4. 16 divided by 4 will equal 4. And then we're going to write out all the x's and all the y's. X to the third power will be 1, 2, 3 x's. Y to the fifth power, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then underneath that, x to the seventh power. Yes, we write out all 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Y to the second power, 1, 2. Now we match up the same letters on top and bottom and start crossing them out. X on top, X on bottom, cross it out. X on top, X on bottom, cross it out. X on top, X on bottom, cross it out. There's no more X's on the top, so all these X's have to stay on the bottom. Now let's move to the Y variable. Y on top, Y on bottom, cross it out. Y on top, Y on bottom, cross it out. We have 3 Y's on top but nothing else on the bottom, so they must stay on the top. We now clean this up to create our final answer. 4, 1, 2, 3 Y's on top, so Y to the third power. 1, 2, 3, 4 X's on the bottom, so X to the fourth power on the bottom. And we have our final answer to number 1. Example number 2. Continuing the idea, this is a division problem, so we are going to divide the numbers in front. Negative 27 divided by 12 does not divide out perfectly. So let's remember how to reduce that on our calculator. Negative 27 divided by 12 with that decimal answer, math, enter, enter, and it reduces to negative 9 over 4. Negative 9 over 4. And yes, we must write out all of our letters. 1, 2, 3, 4 X's. Y to the second. 1, 2 Y's. X to the seventh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I'm going to come back and clean this one up. Make sure that is an X. Y to the ninth power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I hope you are getting tired of writing all those letters. I'm going to teach you a shortcut when we get to the back of the notes. Cleaning this up? Not yet. Now let's go back and cross out the X's that pair up. X on top and X on bottom. X on top, X on bottom. X on top, X on bottom. X on top, X on bottom. These 3 X's have to stay. Y on top, Y on bottom, cross it off. Y on top, Y on bottom, cross it off. This big group of Y's have to stay. Now we're ready to clean up. You'll notice the only thing we have on the top of this problem is negative 9. 4, 1, 2, 3 X's, X to the third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Y to the 7th. And there is our final answer for number 2. All right, let's move along to number 3. 8/14. So again, a division problem, so we divide the numbers in front, the coefficients. 8 divided by 14 gives us this really ugly decimal. Math, enter, enter. We'll reduce it to our 4/7 fraction. 4/7. X to the 9th. Yes. Write out all 9 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Y to the 6th. Yes. Write out all 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. X to the 5th power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y to the 3rd power. 1, 2, and 3. Match them up, cross them off. X and X, X and X, X and X, X and X, and lastly, X and X. These X's must stay. Y and Y, Y and Y, Y and Y. These Y's must stay. Again, notice this time the only thing we have on the bottom is the number 7. 4 on top. 1, 2, 3, 4 X's. So X to the 4th. 1, 2, 3 Y's. Y to the 3rd. All of that over just a 7 on the bottom, and there is our final answer for number 3. One last example from the front side of the notes, and then we get to see about a shortcut that might allow us to work a whole lot faster and a whole lot smarter. So example number 4, -20/40. -20/40, again, division, so we will divide. -20 divided by 40. -20 divided by 40. Decimal. Math, enter, enter. And it reduces to our fraction of -1/2. So -1/2. X to the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y to the understood 1. Y. X to the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Y to the 3rd. 1, 2, and 3. And as I now cross off the letters they have in common, so those X's pair up and cancel out. Those Y's pair up and cancel out. What I have left over is -1 and just this X, 2, 1, 2 Y's, so Y squared. With that -1, we can also leave that as our understood -1 and simplify it to -x over 2y squared. Both of these answers will be a perfect full credit answer. Stay tuned for our shortcut on the back, and thank you, everybody. All right, guys, I hope that you've read through the shortcut on the top of the back of the notes and looked at the 2 examples to see how they're worked out. I'm going to follow those same steps to work through these 4 examples that will allow us to work a lot faster and a lot smarter than having to write out all these individual letters. The first correction I will need to make is this 7 should be an exponent. I didn't catch that till after it was copied off, so please make that quick change now. Again, continue to emphasize this is a division problem. So 28 divided by 7 is 28 divided by 7 does divide out perfectly to equal 4. Now the nice part. Don't write out all 7 x's and don't write out all 5 x's. If you look back at the steps of the shortcut, step number 2 says if the exponent on top is larger, then that variable stays on top. Since 7 is larger than 5, the x will stay on top beside the 4, and then we subtract those exponents. 7 subtract 5. The y variables, since 6 is bigger than 2, the y variable will also stay on the top, and then we subtract 6 minus 2. And it turns out there is no bottom left to this problem. When I now clean up the exponents, I quickly create my final answer. 7 minus 5 is 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. And we have our final answer for number 5. Problem number 6, the same idea. We have to understand this is a division problem, so we will start out 6 divided by 18, and no, that does not equal 3. 6 divided by 18 is a decimal. Math, enter, reduces to 1 over 3, not 3. So 1 over 3. Now let's look at one variable at a time, x to the 9th and x to the 2nd. 9 is larger than 2, so that x stays on top, and then we subtract 9 minus 2. Yes, that is a 9. Again, I apologize for the marker closing it in. Now with the y variable, the 7 is larger than 4. And since the y to the 7th is on the bottom, the y variable will stay on the bottom. And we continue with subtraction. 7 subtract 4. Now, when I clean this up, 1, 9 minus 2 is 7. 3, 7 minus 4 is y to the 3rd. And again, as the previous example showed, we can write this with leaving that 1 as understood. So we could even write it as x to the 7th over 3y to the 3rd. Both of those answers are going to be full credit answers. I hope you're liking this shortcut as much as I do, because it saves a great deal of time without having to write down every single letter. That's why we get to work smarter instead of harder. Example number 7. Negative 22 divided by 14. I don't think that's going to divide out nicely, so let's see what happens. Negative 22 divided by 14. Yeah, that's not a good decimal. Math, enter, and it reduces it nicely for us. Negative 11 over 7. Now let's look at each variable one at a time. X to the 5th, x to the 11th. The 11 is larger than 5, and since it's on the bottom, the x variable stays on the bottom. 11 subtract 5. Y to the 6th, y to the 3rd. 6 is larger than 3, so the y will stay on the top, and we subtract 6 minus 3. Our last step is just to clean up those exponents. Negative 11 y, 6 minus 3 is to the 3rd power. 7x, 11 minus 5 is to the 6th power. And we have our final answer for number 7. Right. Guys, it looks like one more example, and then we'll have this rule knocked out. Our last example, number 8. 28 divided by negative 16. What you'll notice with this problem, the negative sign starts on the bottom. But when we divide that, 28 divided by negative 16, and we get that decimal, math, enter, enter. When the calculator reduces that fraction, it will always assign the negative in the top number. And that's perfectly fine. I prefer that way. So negative 7/4. Again, one variable at a time. X to the 7th, x to the 3rd, 7 is larger, so the x stays on top. 7 minus 3. Y to the 2nd, y to the 8th. 8 is the larger exponent, so the y stays on the bottom. 8 minus 2. When we subtract those exponents, we will now create our final answer. Negative 7 x to the 4th and positive 4 y to the 6th. So, subtracting these exponents is the math behind crossing the letters off on the front side without having to write down every single letter. A great time saver. Thank you, everybody.